I went from, again, being broke and homeless at my mom's house to making a solid 6-figure income in less than 8 months. And I know it was because of this mind mapping process. This mind mapping gave me such clarity, gave me such understanding that I never had before.
Welcome to another edition of the Journey to Freedom podcast. And I'm Dr. B. I'm your host here today. Just excited about the opportunity. So this year, and John, I don't know if you knew this, but this year in 2024, I am interviewing 100 Black men, successful Black men that have done stuff, not only in their community. You know, the prayer I have every single day is, dear Lord, give me the wisdom to to do the things that you put me on this earth to do in a way that pleases you and serves others. And so that's every single day. And if there's a theme that I found out doing all these interviews, and I feel like I'm so lucky because I get to be that guy who gets to get all this knowledge from all of you guests that are on here. But if there's one thing that I found is the folks that are willing to serve others are the ones that not only are successful in what we would believe is successful, but they're successful in their lives as how they feel and their enjoyment and their quality of life and the things that they get to do. It's those guys that struggle that are, you get on and you talk and, they're just mostly, and very few of have I got on here that struggle because all they think about is how they're going to get ahead, how they're going to make it better, but and you're kind of like me, where it's like, okay, what are all these different things that I can do, whether it's work or, family or the different things I do in my life, but it's always in this, quest to serve others in a way that's going to make their lives better. Right. And so that's been a huge theme. That has happened here. I said I was going to do it in 2024. As of recording this, and whenever you guys will listen to it, I don't know what it'll be, but we're in December of 2024. And so you're, I think, 93, episode number 93. So I got 6 more to go to hit that 100 and got them all planned out. So I will definitely hit that 100. But I think next year I got to do another 100. It's just, this has been so exciting to have different people. And, I know you're an author and you've written a book and you're doing some public speaking, and I got like 3 or 4 keynotes set up for myself next year. And, the different things that we get to do to go out there and just make a huge difference. And so for those of you who are watching, if you subscribed or you haven't, this is one of those podcasts that you're probably going to want to take some notes. So I'm telling you right now, get out your pen and your paper and, take whatever notes that you possibly can, because if success leaves clues, and I know you guys say, Brian, you say it every single time, but it does. When you think about people who are working in their purpose, and if you can get to the point where you're working in your purpose and you're working where this is why you've been put on this planet, life is so much better. And so, and the other thing, John, that has happened is almost everybody has said, I wanted to see somebody who looked like me, at least doing something close to what I'm doing, to know that I can do it, right? I'm like, that just seems like we don't need that in this day and age. But then I think to my own life, like when I go to events and I go to places and I'm at places, I'm looking in the room to see who else is in the room and who else is on stage and who else can I talk to. In fact, this podcast came as a result of, I went to a trust leadership guy named David Horsager, all this amazing stuff that was on trust and how to trust people and how do you start with trust. And I look in the room and there's like 30 people of color in the room. And then on stage there was like there was a really cool Navy colonel that had run part of the fleet, and then he was an African American guy. And then I had one of the Super Bowl, Don Davis, who was in charge of the Players Association for the NFL. And so, but those were the and then a couple, but out the whole weekend, and that's. I'm like, I'm actually paying attention to this. So I came back on how am I going to get this information in our community?
Yeah.
And that is where Journey to Freedom came out of, is God saying, you
Nice.
need to work with Black men, and me answering that call and feeling like I'm in my purpose, and creating a
Nice.
coaching program, and just, a whole bunch of them take 14 Black men to Alabama on a civil rights tour this next in first part of January. I was,
Nice.
maybe you could answer this for me. I want to hear your story real quick, but I was listening to some podcasts, and people were saying, if you have these events, you want to have these events in places like Hawaii, or because you're in the coaching space and the speaking space, or you have it on a cruise ship, and you get people so they can get away from their environment. You can have these intensive. I know, like Tony Robbins did something in Fiji and that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to Alabama to do civil rights. So
nothing wrong with that.
I'm thinking, am I getting this wrong? Am I,
No.
For us?
No, I don't know if it's the location so much as the energy of the event and the intention, and the intention of the outcome is more important than where it's actually located, in my humble opinion.
Yes. Well, because we're going to start out in Birmingham, and we're going to go to like where the church bombing was, and we're going to have somebody who was part of the fire hoses, and then we're going to go to Selma, and then we're going to go over the Pettus Bridge, and we're going to walk from Dr. Martin Luther King, walk to there, and then we're going to end up at the Bryan Stevensons on that next day at the Equal Justice Museum. Where the lynching museum, where, and so that is so intense. I mean, that's like 6 hours of, but we're finding out, hey, this is where we came from. This is the shoulders of these giants that we're standing on. This is what they had to go through. This is our opportunity here. Then we come back and do some group stuff. And we're doing story throughout the whole time. But way different than, hey, I'm going to get you to this nice location. We're going to meet for a half a day, and then we're going to go play golf. This is, no, you're going to walk away going, I'm ready to go, but at the same time, it's like Southern Bend.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, well, thank you. I can't wait to hear your story, and where you, what you're doing now is super important. But just like I was talking about on this trip we're going on, where we came from is also just as important. So please tell us your story and where you're from, and then we'll just chop it up after that.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me, man. I'm so excited. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations on, all that you're doing, and 100 people interviews a year is a great goal to get different perspectives, because you're right. Success does leave clues, and I'm hopeful that with this podcast share that I have with you today, that, it really adds a lot of value to your listeners. But my story, born and raised in Los Angeles, California, fell in love with football, was blessed and grateful to get a scholarship to Washington State University, go Cougs, played for the Cougs, played several years of the NFL. And CFL, retired mainly due to the reconstruction of my right knee, which basically began, after the heartache and getting over all the, my first love being gone, began my mortgage career, to where bounced all over the mortgage industry, and ultimately ended up owning and operating one of the largest Southern California brokerages, and mortgage brokerages in all of Southern California. Really living an amazing lifestyle, millionaire lifestyle, making more money as a mortgage guy than I ever did as a professional football player. Actually, had it all, the big house, wife, kids, cars, all of that good stuff. Actually was en route to buying my own helicopter. And that was all before the Great Recession and mortgage meltdown. In the mortgage meltdown, I lost literally everything. I mean, not just my business. I lost homes, cars, lost my wife, lost kids, lost everything. Lowest part of my life, at that time, it was even lower than, my football career ending, because, I was just had so much success, and within less than a year, found myself from close to $1 million in cash to close to $1 million in debt. In less than a year. And that's how most of us had who was owning mortgage businesses back in those days. Yeah, but I was forced to move to my mom's. I didn't have any place to go, so I went back to my mom's house. Humbled and jaded and distraught and just confused. And all I took with me to my mother's house was my gym bag, my bicycle, and what I say, this big ass box that I had full of motivational CDs, DVDs, books that I've accumulated over the years. I realized I had to go back into that box to reset myself, reset my life, to rebuild my life. And by the way, this is basically the beginning of the story of that I shared on my TEDx talk. I did a TEDx talk last year that your viewers can see, John Diggs, YouTube TEDx, and you'll see it come up. But it's talks about when I went to my mom's house with this big ass box, and as I started going through the box to reread this book, but reread all of the stuff in there, there was this one book in that really resonated with me, and it was called the Mind Map book by Tony Buzan. The Mind Mapping book by Tony Buzan. And I don't know, I don't remember actually buying it myself. I believe somebody must have gave it to me, but never read it. But for whatever reason, at this point, it resonated with me deeply. I read it and decided to actually build mind maps for all of the books and things that I had in that big ass box. I mean, it was Think and Grow Rich, Unlimited Power, How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Power of Now. I mean, all of the major big books that we all heard about was in there, but I went and started mind mapping each one of those books. Spent about 3 months of actually every day, all day going through this process. And it really was my first introduction to the power of mind mapping, because I realized that as I was going through and rereading these books and adding and really hunting for keywords and short phrases to take out of each chapter to put on the mind map, it was, now that I know what it was doing for me, it was actually creating what is called active learning as well as meaningful learning, meaning I was actively engaged with what I was reading, because instead of just underlining things, or writing in the margins like most of us do when we're reading books, no, I was actually looking for keywords to actually take from there to add to my mind map, which caused me to be more stimulated and engaged with the information. Then when you actually take that keyword and put it on the mind map, it allows you to actually connect that knowledge to knowledge that you already have, which is meaningful learning. So long story short, all of this stuff was resonating on a much deeper level and that it ever had when I first read it before, which empowered me in such a way that I started to realize that I am in control of my life, that I can make decisions on how I want to live my life. I can turn my life around. I mean, it really gave me the motivation and inspiration to really turn my life around. And one of the key components that I got out of that process was the fact that the purpose of life is really simple. And it's just to love it, just to love every second you have of it. Really just be madly in love with the experience of life itself. And Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, Les Brown, all of these people just had their different versions on how to help us achieve that ultimate goal of just being happy and fully in love with life. So I got that from it. But then the key other point that I got from that is that in order to truly be in love with life, you have to get clear on who you really are, your identity. Who are you? And what is it that you really want to experience? What are your core values? What are your beliefs? What are your true desires in this experience of life if you truly want to love life? So from there, I started building a personal mind map, which is now known today as an I am mind map. Because in that mind map process, I started to be like, all right, let me map out and get very clear on who John Diggs is. Who am I and what do I want? And I came up with 4 pillars with my I am mind map. Yes, which was health, wealth, success, and happiness. Okay. And what I put them around, if you can imagine, I started with, and by the way, a mind map is a visual information management tool, meaning that any information that you're thinking about, whether it's problem solving, decision making, goal setting, dealing with stuff in your past, a mind map will allow you to take it out of here and put it in a visual format. So I started doing this with as far as designing, defining, deciding who I am. And those key components on that mind map, I started with I am in the center. Then I put health, wealth, success, and happiness around it as, and this is after hours and hours and weeks and days of just grappling, what is truly most important to me? Naturally, I came up with health. I realized that, there's nothing more important than health, so I put that on my map. And I said, well, what else is more important to me? Most important to me is in my life. Naturally, I put wealth, naturally. But then when I started really thinking about it, I was like, well, is wealth truly money? And I started really kind of grappling with the word wealth, and I looked it up in a dictionary, and his wealth said an abundance of whatever, an abundance of things, abundance, not just money. So I was like, yeah, I want wealth there. Then I went to success. I definitely want to experience success and ultimately, happiness. To truly, these are the key core values or beliefs that I have about my life, to love and live my best life. Then I started really kind of mapping this out. Well, what does health mean? When I say health, that's so broad and general. Then on my mind map, I broke down that health to me means, spiritual, mental, and physical. Then I went down to the next part of my mind map and said, well, what is wealth? What do I want an abundance of? Then after, again, hours, weeks, or whatever, just grappling with this, I determined I wanted a wealth of positive emotions. I wanted a wealth of specialized knowledge and abundance of skills. And I also wanted abundance of freedom, which also included financial freedom. Then I went over to my success module on my mind map. And I said, well, what is this? What do I want to experience success in? Then that's where I came up with, I want to have successful relationships. I want to experience successful results. And I want to experience successful rewards. I was like, all right, those work with me. And I said, well, what about happiness? What does truly happiness mean to me? And what do I need to do to experience it? And again, after some hours and hours of mentally grappling with this, I landed with, for me to be happy, I have to feel blessed for my past, the goods and the bads. Whatever happened in my past, I need to look back at it and feel really blessed for those experiences. I also need to feel grateful for my future, really be grateful for everything that's coming to me. And I realized that if I can be blessed for my past, grateful for my future in the present moment right now, I'll be happy. So I put those all on my I am mind map, and I started really exercising this and really creating my own identity, my own who I am. And it empowered me in such a way that after 3 months of working on that, I went from, again, being broke and homeless at my mom's house to making a solid 6-figure income in less than 8 months. And I know it was because of this mind mapping process. This mind mapping gave me such clarity, gave me such understanding that I never had before, because it wasn't just swirling all in my head now. I was able to see it like a playbook. Like a football player's playbook. I was really able to see what plays, what was my offensive strategy, defensive strategy. All of these things were so clear to me that it really transformed my life. And since 2009 all the way up to now, I've been using mind mapping to get back to living an amazing life. I'm making more money than I ever have. I travel the world. I'm a social dancer. I'm a Latin dancer, so I dance with kids. Yeah, I dance with all of my kids. I pretty much am doing anything and everything that I want to do, and I know it's because of what mind mapping has empowered me to do, with the clarity and the understanding of who I am and where I'm going. And when COVID hit, and we were quarantined, I was called to actually start writing books, to start sharing this message with folks, what it's been doing for me. I just was like, I know people can utilize this tool like I have to start loving and living their best life. So since COVID, I've written 10 books, all on mind mapping. Yeah. I actually became an international best-selling author last year. I did a TEDx talk. I host an online community, that's international online community, that's strictly around showing people how to mind map. in that process, I realized that the creator of mind mapping, this guy by the name of Tony Buzan, that book that I read, he was big in promoting mind mapping pretty much in the UK and Europe and things of that nature. And fortunately, he passed away in 2018. So it hasn't really, the mind mapping, people heard of it. A lot of people still have never heard of it, but those who do know about it, they really think about it really as being utilized for three separate ways: for like project management, brainstorming, and a note-taking tool is what like Fortune 500 companies are using it for. Ivy League schools are now using it for note-taking and lectures and things of that nature. But generally, as a whole in our country, it's relatively an unknown subject. I understand now, having been in this world of mind mapping around the world for over a decade now, that I'm the only one that's using mind mapping, teaching, coaching, and training mind mapping as a personal development tool, something that can be used more on a personal level. So I decided to identify my style of mind mapping different than the traditional style. And this is why I call my style mapineering. It's called mapineering, engineering beautiful mind maps to love your life more. And ever since then, it's about the last 2 or 3 years, I've been coaching everyone, it seems like, from kindergartners to CEOs to football players to coaches to university professors, showing them how they can not just use mapineering in a professional sense, but also as a personal level. Again, for decision making, problem solving, goal setting, completing and releasing things from their past and things of that nature. And my ultimate goal is to, be the worldwide leader when it comes to mapineering. I call myself a mapineering mentor. And my true passion and vision, which is why your show just resonates so much with me, is to really share this information with our African American community. Because my experience shows that it's in our community and I would say others as well, but specifically in our community, I don't know. It's very limited on how many of us have actually decided who we are ourselves. Mm-hmm. Seems like either the environment or somebody else or something always dictates who our identity is, which creates a lot of unhappiness, dis-ease, and a lot of stuff like that. Why I'm very passionate about sharing the power of mapineering with our community, to give our folks a tool, that if you're perplexed with a problem, let's map that out so you can see all of the key components of it to make sure that you're making an effective decision on how to solve it. Hey, I think I might have lost you for a second. Are you there, Doc?
Yeah, I think we're getting back here. Yeah, so I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was just saying, I'm just very passionate about, sharing this with the world, but specifically African American folks, because as we're pretty much not the first to get valuable information or life-changing information. And I'm hopeful to be that person that can change that and really arm our folks with some tools that can really help people love and live their best lives.
Man, I love it. As I start thinking about how important this is, when I was in when I went to college, I was a track athlete. So I came out to Azusa Pacific University in
Mhm.
80 something. And they immediately started teaching me how to do mind mapping for note taking.
Good.
Because they didn't figure I was going to make it academically. I had zero desire to go to college. I just happened to be a good athlete.
Right.
My mom convinced me, if you will just go to college, I'm going to buy you a Jeep at that point. That's all I needed to go to college instead of going to stunt school. So I wanted to be a stuntman. And so, but the mind mapping became so important for me to be able to take notes and to be able to understand.
Mhm.
But I never equated it to how about personal development. As I think through, my goal is, if I want to help people become the person they need to be in order to do the thing, how can I equip other folks to be able to do the thing, right? Because I think people should go to, Les Brown and Tony Robbins and Ed Milet and all these, these incredible speakers and like things that you went through. But if you're not ready,
Yeah.
right? Like you said, I had all these books and tapes in my box,
Right.
but I wasn't ready back then. But it took all the stuff that happened. Now
Mhm.
I'm ready, right?
Yeah.
So when I think about our community and helping people get ready, how do I do that? And I think mind mapping is so good. I'm doing on the 31st, I'm just doing a free goal setting workshop,
Mhm.
knowing that my belief in goals is goals. If you focus on goals, they're a distraction and you're going to struggle because you're focusing on something that isn't what's going to change your habits, right?
Yeah.
You're just trying to hit a spot in
Mhm.
the sky. But until you get to how am I going to change my habits? How am I going to change what I do?
Right.
How can I change the things I can control?
Yeah.
Then I just wrote goals on a piece of paper, and then when it comes around the end of next year, I go, well, I didn't hit any of my goals.
Yeah.
But I can see, John, how with your mind mapping program and the things where you're looking and you're being able to visualize, you're being able to see, and you're being like, I just have 5 personal goals, right? And I want you to have one of those 5 goals. That's all you're going to work on, but and finding what those different things are. So I love how you've done that. As I can just relate to you, and I hope there's folks out there who can. I did say I had a mortgage business in Southern California, and until 2008 when it all fell apart, and I lost almost everything as well. But it's our ability to get back up. And so, what do you think just to kind of talk about identity a little bit? Because I remember how much that was a hit on my belief in myself when all that happened. How do you think are some key things that formed your identity before, and then after and as you were coming in your comeback, how did you attach to those, success identities that allowed you to move forward?
Yeah, that's a great question because as a kid, I identified myself as a football player.
Mm-hmm.
Like you, I didn't go to school to go to school. I went to school to play football, and football, and I had to go to school to play, so I went to school. But I was a football player. Then after that, I shifted into being a mortgage guy, kind of deal, and so my identity was all more in alignment with my job titles or things that I loved versus the depth of my character and what I truly wanted, which is why I strongly, recommend and I really promote that everybody start with an I am mind map to get clear on who they are before they try to set goals, because you may be setting goals that aren't in alignment with your true identity and your true purpose or passion on how you want to live your life, which I'm sure you heard that story before. So many people work hard to reach a goal, and it's like, this is not what I thought it was, and I'm still unhappy. And it's probably because what you thought was really what you wanted wasn't really what you wanted, because you didn't really get clear on who you are and what you want, this kind of deal. So when I started having to rebuild myself, when my identity was essentially destroyed in the mortgage meltdown, I mean, everything that I identified with was gone, from businessman to husband to father, all that was destroyed. So, I mean, I was starting with a blank slate on how to really create myself. And I just started thinking about all of the unlimited possibilities that I could create with my life, but I knew that in order to create that, I had to get clear on who that person needs to be or become to have that. And I think a lot of people miss that they want something, they want a goal, kind of like what you said, they want a goal, but they don't realize the person they have to become to actually achieve that goal. So, so they kind of putting the cart before the horse kind of deal, where, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that. Well, who do you need to be to do that? Well, I think I just need to do this, this, and this, where this I am process that I created really gets people to really map out their core values, their core beliefs. So it also, in some sense, it illuminates what their true goals are once they truly find out what they're truly passionate about and who they really are in the world, or who they want to be or intend to be in the world. Then it's easier to make decisions. And I'm finding that with a lot of my students that I'm working with now is, especially college student athletes, when I'm walking them through this I am process, they get so clear of making a conscious choice on who they intend to be in the world that it empowers them to withstand peer pressure, to avoid bad relationships, to do a lot of things that's not gonna. It empowers them to avoid things that's not going to help them get what they want, because now they clearly see it. And they clearly see like the yellow brick road on what they have to do to achieve it. So it empowers people to, I can look at my map and be like, all right, wait a minute. I don't need to spend any more time than necessary trying to date this woman, because I know she's not the one. She's not the one on me, because she's not on my I am my map. There's nowhere on my I am my map. Yes, she's cute. She got a nice body and all of this, but I know it's not going to be anything of significance. So let me make some adjustments, and not just with personal relationship, even with friends and jobs. I see people that when they get clear on who they are by mapping out their I am my map, it empowers them to make career changes. I'm working this job, but it's killing me because I don't like it. I hate it. It's not in alignment with who I am. I'm just doing it for a check. But once they kind of get clear on, all right, this is who I am and this is what I truly want, it's amazing what I've been finding on just how people are like, you know what? I have the courage now. I have the game plan, the strategy now on the change I need to make in my life to truly live my best life, versus just being some theory. I see the yellow brick road that can help me achieve it. And it's super, super powerful in that process.
And I can just see so many of the connections between who I am, becoming that person, like you were just alluding to, and what I need to do. Because I think we spend so much time on, we'll watch somebody, or we'll see a podcast, or we'll see a YouTube video, and I'm going to do that. And then we'll see another one. Well, I'm going to go do that. And I'm going to see another one. But if we don't know who we are first, right? We don't know, what are, even if you work on, like, you go to Gallup and do the Strength Finder, and the whatever that other one is with your 7s, 3s, 6s, whatever. That's great. I get to know myself, but that doesn't give me a map of where those things fit into where I'm trying to go. I almost stated, and then I think about our community where we don't feel like we're enough. We feel like everybody's telling us who we are. Well, you're that person, you're that boy, right. You're that, you can't do this, you can't do that. I don't care where you came from. And then we spend so much time trying to either live up to what somebody told us we are, or believing the lies. Yeah. The limitations. Lidentity, I think, is what Byron Golden calls it.
I like that.
Our lidentity that we have, that of what we believe about ourselves, and then we add in relationships, right? So like we add in, I did a Sunday night. I started a series with 3 Black women and 3 Black men, and talking about relationships and the expectations that Black women have for Black men, and then what Black men feel about, and it crosses all right. ethnic backgrounds. But at the same time, a lot of those women were saying, well, I don't need a man. I don't, if they're going to do this, this, and this, and this, if they're going to be with me, right? Because they want a finished product, right? They want somebody who's already made it to the promised land, or already is making the six figures and already has all their life together. And I can see how in this, I am map that you're doing, how important it is to be super grounded, not only from where you came from, who you're a part of, but who you are and where you want to go. Yeah. Because I think that's where we struggle with the most. And when we think about, even our health, like you said, health and wellness, and who we are and what we believe we can do, and the food that we eat, and the mental health part of it. Maybe you can talk a little bit about, how this helps our mental health as
Absolutely. Something flashed in my mind of what you're saying is, I have a sister that's, African American, and she's just like most sisters, and absolutely 100% clear on what she doesn't want in a man. Mm-hmm. But when I asked her what you do want, is and I'm like, well, why do you think you keep attracting the dude you don't want? Because you're more clear on that dude than the dude you really want. So let's map out, and I got my sister, I said, let's map out all of the key components of the guy that you do want, so you have more clarity about the guy that you want versus the guy that you don't want, for one. Now, to get to your question about mental health, what I've been finding, especially with problem solving, I've been working with a young guy now, and I created a mind map that I call the 5 W's, 1 H. And it's a perfect mind map template, and I can share this with your audience, the link to a template that I have later. But it's basically, you say it's a problem you're dealing with, which is a lot of the mental health components, I think, is that a lot of people are dealing with problems and it's swirling all in their head, and they can't seem to figure out, don't know which way to go with certain things because it's really all here. Well, a mind map will allow you to actually take it from here and put it in a map form. So now you get greater perspective of all of the key components of whatever it is you're considering, a problem, decision, or the like. So created this 5 W's and S to where you can put the title of the problem in the center. Then around that, you put who, what, when, where, why, and how. Mm-hmm. Circles. Now you just brainstorm each section, each topic. All right, who's involved with this problem? Who should be involved with this problem? Who shouldn't be involved with this problem? Who's impacted by this problem? And just really get clear on who is involved with this problem. Then once you brainstorm that, now you can go to what? What actually is this problem? What's occurring? What could happen? What should happen? Then you go to when. When does it happen all the time? Where is it happening? Then you move over to why. Why is this happening? How or can I solve it? Once you actually go through this whole brainstorming process and you zoom back and look at your map of everything that you put around who, what, where, when, and why of the problem, brother, always, yes, always, the solution reveals itself. It becomes very clear on what you need to do because now you can see it. You can see all of the key components of the problem, which, I've been finding, dealing with kids that are really angst about problems, or even I dealt with a business owner the other day that was really stressing about his employees and just his business wasn't going right. And we went through this process, and it's amazing the emotional release that occurs when they go through this process. It's no longer in here. Now they're looking at the problem out there. They kind of disassociate and detach from the problem, which calms them down, which opens them up to receive a solution, versus it's just swirling all in here so much. So that's a key solution that I've been finding that works with people that are really stressed and dealing with some mental anguish and dealing with some stuff, is just to walk them through this 5W plus H mind map. And it's amazing the effects of it, doctor, because they really are looking at it like, oh, wow. Okay. I didn't realize, the problem really looked like this. I didn't realize that this person was involved or could be a possible help to solve the problem. I didn't see it in all of these different angles and perspectives. Why? Because it was all in here. And that's what I think is the most beautiful thing about mind maps, because it can take whatever you're thinking about and put it out there. Even with decisions, you can do the same thing with decisions. There's a major decision you got to make. Just start with the decision in the middle. Go who, what, when, where, why, how. Who's a part of this decision? Who should be a part of the decision? What is the decision? Where is the decision? Why is the decision? How should I make this decision? And just by going through, which again, they have a lot of awesome mind mapping online software now. I'm a big proponent and actually a partner with mindmeister.com. I believe they're the best mind mapping software out now, because you can do so many things like add attachments, PDFs, video links, all on your maps, and you can have them linked to other maps. I mean, it's very powerful. But if people didn't even want to go through that, you can literally just grab a pen and a napkin, and just start mapping out your decision that you're trying to deal with, or, your problem you're trying to solve, or goal you're trying to achieve, and just in a map form. And that just being a visual tool like that, especially in the days where visual stimulation is at an all-time high, it's just a natural fitting aid to help people mentally process whatever they got to go through, especially with mental health challenges.
Oh man, this is good, because as I'm thinking through it, I just finished a book that'll come out this week. I love the fact that you wrote 10 books. I wrote one that's called The Decision Formula, and I'm thinking how nice. what you said fits into it, because a lot of what I talk about in there is one is, what is that problem, and identifying what it is you're trying to solve. Whether it's I make a decision to new career across country, or I make a decision on a relationship, or so kind of defining what that is, and then the journey, right? Am I going to enjoy the journey to be able to go through it? But I think one of the most important part of it is, do I have the disciplines that it takes in order to do the thing that I'm making a decision? And I can see how the mind map would work into it, because when I think about, the disciplines, if I want to be a world-class swimmer, but I only want to go to the pool twice a week, right? Those two things don't go hand in hand, right? There's no way that's going to happen. Well, like you said, I have a sister as well, kind of the same thing. So you go, okay, well, if I want this man, right, and I don't know what it is that I actually want, then it's really hard to, put that out and figure out who that is. If I'm going to make a decision, like, what is it that I can now start articulating? And then when I'm meeting with somebody, right, then I can ask them, are these your qualities? And that was, one of the things that came out of our discussion the other night was, why can't you ask somebody on your first date or your first encounter, this is why do you have to dance around to, 6 or 7 times to figure out what that person wants? But you can't have that conversation if you don't know.
Right. And most people don't know.
Yeah.
And most people are pretending to be something that they're not, because, they haven't got clear on who they really are to truly be that person they want to be. At least what I'm finding, I've been finding, born and raised next to Hollywood, everybody's perpetrating a fraud is what I'm saying. Everybody's acting like there's somebody else kind of deal. And that's why out of the 1,000 possibilities of mind maps that can be done, there's none more important than an I am mind map, just to map out who you are and what's most important to you. All of the key components, that really you cherish, that you value, goals you want to experience, all of those key things, just to visually see it. And another big powerful thing, Doctor, is that these are dynamic. They're not static. So as you grow, your mind map evolves too.
It has to grow, right? Because you become a different person, right? You become a person who can now do that thing.
It's so easy to dynamically evolve it as you evolve. You know what I mean? So you, instead of having to restart it each time, you can just go back to that mind map. All right, this no longer works. So let me put this here. Let me put this over here in the archive section of my mind map, just in case I want to reference later. But here are this is my life in a nutshell right here. I can see it all in one snapshot.
Gotcha. So when I think of a lens, and this just popped into my head as I'm thinking through. So let's say I go through, you help me do a mind map. We got this all done. Now I'm putting it, above my computer or in my phone, somewhere where I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I think about our social media and the things that we interact with in social media that distract us from becoming that person all the time, how would I now look at my map before I watch that podcast, or before I scroll through those videos, or before I start listening to this, or I get onto Facebook or Instagram, or whatever the generation you're in looks at, before I spend my time there creating a different identity for myself based on seeing people's best life, which isn't true, right? We only see the best of what everybody does. How could I do that? How could I utilize my IM map to make sure that my electronic world?
That's a great question. And one of the things that I've developed and I teach and coach is just to look at my IM mind map daily. Every morning before, I sit down and get my groove going. Even after all of these years, I still look at my mind map just every day, just to reset myself on who I am and who I need to be during this day. And I don't spend no more than 5 minutes, just kind of bouncing around it. But maybe throughout the day, some ideas come or new opportunities present itself, like Pod Match, and things of that thing. I'm like, that's kind of cool. Let me put that on my IM mind map, under my goals section, successful results, because this is a tool that can help me achieve the, result I'm trying to get. But then even in the evening, I'm constantly looking at it like, okay, how did I do today? And I've developed some other daily, weekly, monthly mind maps that trigger a bunch of questions. What was I successful in? Who did I impact today? And, again, I just use keywords and short phrases, which is one of the key principles of mind maps, is that you only want to use keywords and short phrases, images, colors, and symbols, because it stimulates what is called whole brain thinking. Mind map does as well. The right side, that creative side, that intuitive side, mind map stimulate that with the colors and images and things you can put on the mind map, but also that left brain side, that logical, cognitive side, linear thinking side, thinking of keywords and short phrases stimulate both of that. So they say when people are mind mapping, you also start to use your whole brain for greater cognitive functioning, because it's stimulating both sides versus, just linear bullet points like we've been taught to take notes kind of deal. Now you can kind of really stimulate. And in fact, like schools like Harvard and a lot of these Ivy League schools, and you can probably attest to this, being, mind mapping in your college note taking, is that students are getting greater test results, note taking with mind maps, because they're finding that it's easier for them to close their eyes and visualize where they left that piece of information on their mind map than that bullet point stuff that we've been taught.
Yeah, I don't graduate from college without. I don't get my doctorate without mind mapping everything.
Yeah,
as far as taking notes.
Very powerful.
So right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Very powerful.
I want to ask you, a question that I've asked many of the men on here, and it talks about being, relationships and being a dad and what it means to be a dad in our community. One of the things is we know that kids need a dad. There's no anything about it that just happens. It is. But for us being dads, when we're able to do what it means to be, and some of us have failed and some of us have done great jobs at it, but how has it changed who you are from? I mean, you remember before your dad, that's hard for me too, because my oldest is 35, but right. I still remember how I changed as a person in my responsibility and me wanting to protect and me becoming the person I need to be, because I am a dad, and how much it means to me to be able to be in that position and take that responsibility and be there, and what enhances our lives as a result. So just talk to me a little bit about being a dad and in your life
Yeah,
there?
yeah. Great question. A big part of that I am process that I initially started with was the I am healthy spiritually component of it.
Hmm.
And I spent a lot of my past is a lot of spiritual understanding, depth work, meditation practice. I've studied all religions and all of that stuff just in my past. Just a quick story. When I retired from football, that was a devastating experience. And I decided to go on this 2-year religious quest where I was just studying all of the various religions, just trying to understand what religion was. I wasn't raised in a church, believed in a God, but didn't know anything about it. And I basically landed on the importance of just being spiritual for me. It works just to know that God is inside me and things of that nature. And once I got clear with that, I realized the gift God has given me to be a father, right? And how powerful that is. And I truly believe that, everybody, when they think of spirituality and religion, most of them believe that there's a day of judgment and, we get a chance to talk to our maker and he's going to determine whether we go to heaven or hell and things of that nature. My thing is, I'm open to believe all of that, but I do believe one of the questions that God will ask us is, what did we do with our gifts, our talents, and the blessings that he gave us? Did you really cherish those? And I believe being a dad and having kids is a blessing. So I take it serious. It's very important to me to be the best dad that I can be. I tell my kids all the time that, I may not be the best dad, but I swear to you, I'm doing my very best to be. That's my intention. I'm trying to be the best that I can be. It's not easy at times, but, especially this new generation that seems to not really respect, parents like, our generation did. It can get challenging. Yeah. But, that spiritual component, and realizing the gift, the preciousness of being a father, or having someone call you dad is something that I've always taken seriously. And I do my very best to, to make sure that I'm doing the very best that I can be. That makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's exactly, because there's just something about, when I talk to men who are devastated because of, whether it's a child support issue and, or an issue where mom's not letting them see the kids, and, is it worth the fight to continue to go through all this? And,
right.
Or, some of them have been incarcerated or whatever and missed some of that growing up. And then they go, is it worth the fight to continue to be dad? And I have to say, it's 1,000% worth the fight to continue to be dad, because your kids just want to know somebody loves them. They want to know that you're trying, that you're working, that you're moving through that process.
That you care.
But it changes us. It changes our ability when you're fighting for something like that, and you're making sure. And I'm not going to say that it's easy, and I'm not going to say that that relationship between you and their mom, is going to always be great. And sometimes it's not going to be. Mm-hmm. But that fight to be that dad, and that fight to be there for your kids, and to realize you're going to make mistakes. You're not always going to say the things that, even with my adult kids, and I have 8 children, and my youngest is 20, I think she's 28. And so, we start even today, I'll make those mistakes and say things that I shouldn't say, but they know that I love them. And know that I want the best for them.
And it's critical enough. It's so important to apologize when you do make a mistake. And that's one thing that I seem to find a lot in our African-American culture, both male and female, just the humbleness, just to say, I'm sorry. That I'm bad stuff. Come on, that's don't say that, dude. Just really a heartfelt apology. If you really care about the relationship, speak from your heart with the apology, not my bad, dog. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just screwed your life up.
Well, the only thing about being the example instead of trying to live through your kids. I mean, how many parents are, everything they do, we're almost that helicopter where I've created my son or daughter's future based on what I want, my goals and my dreams.
Yeah. vicariously
instead of
living.
just I just want to be an example of somebody. If you take these mind maps and you get yourself right and you have clarity and your kids get to see that and they see you work through it, and you even if you, because we're both products of restarting, right? I think every successful person has restarted several times in order to get where they're at. I don't know if you get to start out as successful.
Yeah, I got to jump.
We're running kind of on time, but I want to give you an opportunity because a whole lot of things we didn't discuss, and I hope we can come back. Maybe we can come back and do maybe do a mind mapping session or do.
That'd be awesome.
That would be amazing to do. But what did we talk about that you want to make sure that this audience gets to hear?
Well, I just again, I would love the people to take away the importance of doing an I am mind map. And just start exploring this world of using this visual information tool with whatever you're thinking about. It's very, very important to use it as a tool in your toolbox, an arrow in your quiver, that when you're thinking about something, give mind mapping a try. I'm sure it's going to positively impact your life in a way that you just can't really understand yet until you start doing it. I use it for everything. Like I said, I'm working with CEOs on how to project manage and build executive summaries with mind maps. I'm working with student athletes, football players at Washington State University on how to mind map their perfect play, their perfect game, their perfect season. I'm working with high school students on how to, not just note take, but to really design the life that they want for their future and goal setting. I mean, it's universal on what a mind map could be used for. And I'm hoping that this was just an introduction for you to continue to explore down this path, because I'm sure it's going to have a positive impact in your life in some way. Somehow I am available for you. If you have any questions, you can reach me at johndiggs.com. All my books are on Amazon. I got online courses available for you. My TEDx talk is on YouTube to get more about my story on how mind mapping has transformed my life. But I'm here for you. If you need anything, this is a passion of mine that it's not a money thing for me. It's a message thing for me. I really want to cause and create positive change in lives. And that also extends to you, Doc. If there's anything that I can do for you and help you and add to whatever thing you got going on, just know that I'm on board with you, brother. I really appreciate you. I love you for what you're doing. And man, thank you again for having me.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to spend more time with you, because I kind of think I'm looking at you already as a mentor. Hey, you've already, I've written some books, but I haven't written 10 books, right? I'm doing speak. I haven't done a TED Talk yet, but I want to. So all these things that you're kind of ahead of me on some of these things, I can't wait to spend that time and really dig into helping people become the person that they need to be in order to, do the thing that they're put on this planet to do. And I think there's a connection that you and I have that is going to make a difference in a lot of lives. And so, I'm even thinking the thing I'm doing on the 31st, whether it's you or it's, we figure out how to do some mind mapping during that goal setting session that I'm going to offer for free for people to get on. So hopefully you can check your calendar. We'll see if we can make that work. For those of you guys who haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the button, notification, whatever the YouTube things is, to make it happen, because I'm promising you, if you spend time listening to the ones that make sense for you, I would even, take John's ideas, make a mind map of who you are, then look through my list of all the, folks that I have that we've interviewed, and pick those and watch those. I'm not expecting you to watch all 100, but I can probably guarantee there's 10 or 15 that can change your life. And this is one of those. Please go to his website. Please, get on, look at the TED Talks and the things that he's been able to do. We will be back on. We will be doing some stuff together. We'll give you an opportunity to be able to really grow and learn, because if that's what you want to do, because I believe that's what you want to do, or you wouldn't be watching this in the first place. So you guys have an amazing, awesome, just incredible day today. Hey, I believe you're God's greatest gift. They love you if you allow them to. And don't forget, you can do this. It's all available for you. So thanks, John, for being on. And we'll look forward to talking to you guys on the next podcast.